Hey, welcome. Hope you all doing well today. Yeah, let's get started. Some cool, exciting features to go through today. And as always, if you have any questions or comments during the stream, feel free to just pop them into chat on Twitch or YouTube. I'll reply when I see them. And yeah, thanks so much for joining. Let's go straight into it. Today we're going to talk about blueprints. And blueprints for sale is a way to define a pre-configured environment, so plugins and themes and settings or options for your WordPress site when you provision it with Sail. For those of you unfamiliar with Sail, Sail is a CLI tool that I've built, which helps you provision and deploy WordPress applications to the DigitalOcean cloud. So yeah, blueprints essentially is a, let me try and find it right here. Blueprints, it is a YAML file, which basically defines things like plugins and themes and whatnot. And a blueprint file can then be applied to a specific Sail project. So let's just do a quick example. I do have a project here. It's called example.org. It's not really example.org. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to try, I don't know if I have a blueprint file here. Oh, yes, I do. So what I'm going to do is I'll do Sail blueprint. And I'm going to pass it bp.yaml file. I don't know what's in the file, but we'll get to that later. So what it does, yeah, it's installing some plugins, activating some plugins, installing some themes, and activating some themes, updating WP config. So it's doing something, and blueprint applied successfully. So this is really useful when you're working with websites that tend to have like repetitive tasks or plugins, and also if you're like deploying a staging environment for a bigger project, maybe blueprints would be a very convenient way of provisioning such environments, because you can predefine, you know, what are the plugins that should be installed or what are the themes that should be installed, and options and everything else. So let's jump into a sample file. So this file ships with Sail right now, and basically gives you an overview of the functionality that you can have with blueprints. So I'm just gonna start, you know, taking some pieces out of this file and pasting them into my this file, I guess. So that we can test them on the project. So this is my BP YAML file. I'm just going to delete everything and start fresh with plugins, which I guess would be the most most useful feature for blueprints. So plugins, just a list of you know, keys and values, where the value is the version number that you want to install. So you can pin plugins to a specific version from the WordPress.org repo. And you can also define a custom URL for a zip file to be installed. And this is useful for paid plugins or premium plugins that are not available on WordPress.org. And also custom plugins that maybe you're working on that are hosted, somewhere else on GitHub or on your own server, and you would like to provision the environment with your custom plugin, you can do it like this with a URL. We'll do an example here. Let's leave it at WooCommerce and WordPress SEO latest, and then for the sake of testing third-party plugins, we'll pull Hello Dolly using a URL, and let's try and run that. So sale blueprint bp.yaml. So there we go, WP org, WooCommerce latest, WP org, WordPress SEO latest, and third party Hello Dolly, activating plugins, blueprint applied successful. So if we go sale WP plugin list, yeah, I probably installed some of them earlier, but doesn't matter. I can see here that I have WooCommerce installed and active, WordPress SEO installed and active, and Hello Dolly, which is the custom plugin, also installed and active. And I can run the blueprint multiple times. So if I add like I don't know, classic editor latest, if I add a classic editor plugin here and then rerun the same blueprint again, it will install the classic editor for me. It'll also attempt to like install the other ones, and if there was like a plugin update, it will try and pull that, because we explicitly ask for latest versions. But as I mentioned, you can pin these down to a specific version if you wanted to. So there, classic editor. If I let me just do this a little larger, right? Yeah. If I run plugin list again, we'll see the classic editor here is also installed and active. And similar to plugins, you can do themes. So let's add some themes in here. We'll do storefront, we'll do 20, let's do 2010. 2010. And maybe not. I guess I can do this. So with plugins, the sale will activate all of them by default after installing, but with themes, since you can only have one theme active on your WordPress site, themes will activate the last one in the list. So if I want 2010 to be my theme, I have to make sure that it's last in the list. And just like with plugins, you can install custom themes from a URL with a zip file. Let's run the blueprint. There it is, installing themes, WordPress org storefront, WordPress org 2010, and third party. I think I'm not sure it activated my theme. Let's see. Might be a bug, which would be a good catch. Yeah, it activated the published theme. This is a bug. We'll have to fix this. But yeah, so 2010 is here, and storefront is here, and the theme called publish is also here in this list. Just gotta make sure I fix that bug of actually activating the last one in the list. And let's go on to options. Oh, these are pretty interesting. What I'm gonna do is I'm probably gonna comment these out so it doesn't rerun them over and over again and save us some time. But I'll put options right here. So these are WordPress options. They go to the WP options table, and there are a few different ways we can work with them. The easiest is to just give it a string, like blog name, blueprints are fun, and blog description. So this is the site title and site tagline. These are the name of these options. These are just the strings. And then also I have the ability to control the autoload flag for options. So this is useful when I'm working with custom options, with adding my own options, and if I wanted to set to autoload or not, depending on whether I do need it on every single page request in WordPress, or whether it's a one-off thing and I don't know, somewhere in WP admin or in a user triggered action. I can control this through autoload, and I can also use type JSON to treat this value as a JSON object. Now it's not going to end up as a JSON string in WP option. It's actually going to end up as a serialized PHP array, which is how WordPress internally stores non-scalar values in WP option. So if you give it an array, it's going to be stored as a serialized string inside WP option. And this JSON type allows us to, instead of adding a string which would be a serialized PHP string, quite cryptic and very fragile, we can pass in a JSON string, which will then, well, we'll look at how this ends up in WP options. I'll show you. But worth noting here that it is not going to write JSON to the database. If you wanted to write JSON to the database, you would just do it as a string without specifying the type JSON. The type JSON is asking Sail to actually parse this into a JSON object and then store the object, whether it's an object or an array or whatever, store it in WP options as the object or as the array, with whatever way WordPress serializes that data, which happen to be PHP serialized. And finally, we can also delete an option from the database if we wanted to. So let me go ahead and run this blueprint. Applying options, blueprint applied successfully. So I'm gonna do WP option get blog name, or Sail WP option get blog name, because we're asking a remote server, and this is the blog name. Blueprints are fun. We can also try and get, let's say, some custom option. And as you can see, it is an array with the key foo and the value bar. And we can also do Sail WP dbcli and do select star from WP options, where option name is some custom option, and this is the serialized version of the object that we're storing. But it is an array in PHP, and whenever you do get option, you will get an array back as PHP. Interesting, the autoload is set to yes here for some reason. Not sure why. Probably another bug that we'll have to address. And fresh site, if I do fresh site, I don't remember what fresh site was. Probably was something to do with storefront, I think. So storefront upon activation creates an option called fresh site. So this way it's deleted. So yeah, these are options. I think we'll get to them later when we talk about variables as well, because variables are quite powerful with blueprints as well. Allows you to do a bunch of stuff with user inputs or flags. But before diving into that, let's look at the last at the last kind of problem that you can solve with blueprints, which is constants in WP config. So under the key of define, you can add WP constants, WP config constants, or your own custom constants, which do end up in WP config. So if you wanted to turn debug on, again, perhaps you're working on like a staging site or something, and you don't want to go through the trouble of like watching logs or anything like that, you could turn WP debug onto true and debug display onto true to make sure that if there is an error or a warning or a notice, that is just displayed there on the screen. So let's run this blueprint. Just updating my options and updating WP config constants. So what I can do is sail download to download the file from production, my local copy, and I can just open that and see what happened. Here they are, the constants: WP debug, display, post revisions, autosave, and my custom constant. So yeah, and very useful for things like license keys as well. I noticed that a lot of premium plugins will require you to define like a license key to be able to use the plugin, to be able to receive updates or support within WP admin from a license key defined in WP admin, WP config, and this is how you would do it. So this is WP config constants, and the last piece of the puzzle that we rolled out on Friday is variables, and these are actually really cool. So if you wanted to say, let's delete all of this. If you wanted to say the blog name should be defined by the user, we could do something like blog name over here, and then what we can do is we can define a variable that will say blog name, and we're going to prompt what blog title, or WordPress is not only for blogs, right? So what site title would you like? That will be our prompt. And let's see if I missed anything. Nope. Prompt default. Oh, we can do a default. Just another. That was the tagline. So no untitled. Let's say untitled would be the default. So now, whenever I apply this blueprint, oopsie. Constructing mapping, vars probably. Oop. See. Oh, has to be an array. Yes, probably. Nope. Oh. It's with the dollar sign. Yep, there we go. So variables have to be an array, and the interpolation here comes from this syntax is actually used on GitHub and some other large platforms, because the double curly brace is used for something else in YAML. I'm not sure what, something to do with objects, I guess. But yeah, so it's dollar curly brace, and then the name of the variable which you wish to drop here, and then vars, you're defining those variables. And here Sail is asking me what site title would I like. I can just press enter for untitled. or I can type any site title that I want, and it'll pass it on to the blueprint. So if I do sale WP option get blog name, it'll say it's untitled, and then if I run it again, and I'll do not untitled and apply that blueprint, and then run get blog name again, it'll say not untitled. And the other interesting thing here is that I can actually pass an option variable here, an option flag, or an option argument, or whatever you want to call it, for the blog name variable. And I can say that this is available on the command line as blog name. And now what this allows me to do is, instead of having sale prompt the user for whatever the blog name has to be, the user can pass it in as an option on the command line. And if it's passed, then sale is not going to prompt. And so you can have multiple of these, and some of them can be on the command line, some of them can be prompts. It doesn't really matter. And if we go to WP option get blog name, we'll see the hello thing that I passed as an option. And this will work for pretty much anything in the YAML file. So definitions, and I'm not sure if I can put I mean, we can try like WP debug. Let's see what happens. I haven't tried this. I don't know if it will interpolate it as true, like a Boolean value, or if it'll end up being like a string with true. So name WP debug prompt debug, and then the default would be false. And let's do an option. I don't want to call it debug, let's call it WP debug, because I already have a debug option in sale itself. And let's see what happens. As I said, I haven't really tried this. Let's do debug false. I have a feeling it's gonna end up as a string in WP config, and then the string, since it is a truthy, like it does have a length, it might actually end up being true instead of false. So yeah, this is probably another bug. Oh no, it actually worked. Interesting. False define true. Interesting. So okay, wow, that's cool. So if I do true, and download -y, download the config and tail rather, it is set to true. So it kind of works, but it's not very explicit at that, I guess. So if I say yes, it'll probably evaluate to true, although I'm not sure. Maybe it ends up being as a string yes, which will probably be the case. So download and then tail, It is set to true. I wonder if it's even like it's even editing it. Updating. Well, yes is true, but it's interesting because I don't know. Maybe WordPress has some internal, like if I do sail wp config set wp debug, to like hello, would it set it to true or would it set it to hello? Probably set it to hello. Yeah. Debug. What did I miss though? If it's still hello, it could be a case that, oh no, it does modify them. So no is false. Maybe click CLI is actually treating these as Boolean-ish values. Not sure, but yeah, turns out you can do this with variables, which is very interesting. We can also pass it on like the command line, wp debug, and set it to true. Download it, and we're gonna tail it. Oh, now it's yeah. So I think it's Sail, the CLI library that is used by Sail, which is called Python Click. It's probably I'm not sure. It could be. It could be. I'll have to look into it. But it might be treating the user input as a Boolean value, so it can be quite smart in that regard. But yeah, I'll look into it. But I'll probably do is add like a type here. So if it's like a bool, then it will treat whatever is in the prompt as a Boolean value. So if you type yes, it's going to be true. If you type no, it's going to be false. If you type an N, it's going to be false. If you type anything else, it's going to be false. So this will probably come in a future update to blueprints in Sail. And you know, maybe there can be some other types as well, like numeric. If you're looking for a number, so that you can interpolate it here for like post revisions, and you'll probably want an integer there and not, you know, not a string, which will probably evaluate to like a 1. But yeah, so these are variables. I think that that covers most of it. And what I am working on now is a few other things you can define in a blueprint. And one of the important ones is probably going to be fail to ban, which is a server-side security utility which watches server logs for things like authentication failure, and tries to ban IP addresses when that happens, so that you're not vulnerable to things like a brute force attack on SSH or on WordPress authentication, or on XML RPC and things like that. So I can try and do some of this in a few minutes. It shouldn't be really difficult, quite straightforward, but we'll see. And the other features I'll probably be working on is Redis for sure, because some sites do require like a persistent object store for object cache in WordPress, and Redis seems to be the go-to way of solving that problem. So this will probably like install the Redis server, configure the Redis server, and also an object caching plugin for WordPress, install and activate that. So all in here in a single command. And I'm not sure about this GitHub thing. I'm still thinking about this. But for postfix, so this for sure, and we'll probably have some more news likely later this week about postfix and working with mail in general with Sales CLI and WordPress. So that's that. Yeah, and if you have any other ideas about useful things that could be implemented in a blueprint that would perhaps help you in your workflow, then feel free to share that with us on the GitHub repo, or just ping me on Twitter or Slack or whatever. I'll be happy to discuss. So yeah, let's maybe look at this fail to ban thing. Oh, and yeah, so as I mentioned, this sample file, it is available on GitHub. It comes with sale when you install it, but it might be a bit tricky to find it on the disk. But it is here in a directory called Blueprints. So this is the sample YAML file. So this is the one that we've been toying with today. There are a few others as well. These are mainly used for the end-to-end tests that we have for sale. But yeah, as I said, you could write your own blueprint and drop it in whatever you want and just call it on the command line. And in the future, we will add more like real world, I'd say, blueprints to this folder, which will allow you to just use them and reuse them on the command line with Sail without having to like move files around or reference them directly. It'll just know that if you want like maybe an smtp.yaml file, it'll just pick it up from here. You just need to write that. Anyway, let's yeah, let's try and sort out that fail to ban thing. So first things first, we'll probably need to determine the format of the section. If I can add. Wait, what? Is not what I wanted. I want it here. No. Nope. Come on. Come on, Adam. Doesn't work like that, eh? So here probably. There we go. Okay, so fail to ban. What does this section want to look like? I think I had in the example, it was like WordPress auth and XML RPC. So these would be like the XML RPC and I don't know, like SSH. So these are the jails. I think that's what they call them. But let me go sail ssh root, and let's go to the fail to ban directory here, and just dig around, see what's what. So jailconf is probably okay. Yeah, these are the jails. SSHD. So the SSH jail is called SSHD. HD Apache auth. There's Nginx HTTP auth. Bot search, Nginx error logs. These are probably defined somewhere up here. Nginx error log, Nginx error log. So probably defined in a different file. Okay, so let's go to jail. The just one file. SSHD enable true. So this enables the SSHD jail by default, which I guess status it is running, and fail to ban, I think it was client. Oops. Fail to ban client. Less. Fail to ban client, socket, bid, logging level, interactive mode, start, restart, reload, unban, and ban. Okay, so these unban and ban should probably be like commands that you can issue with sail. I think that would be very useful if someone's locked out their like WP admin, then you do need a way to like try and get back in instead of having to wait for an hour or whatever. Status gets the current status of the server. I wonder what that does. Status, number of jails, jail list, SSHD. Okay, so these are the jails that are running. Got it. Set get flush logs, b file, add jail, creates jail using backend, starts the jail, stops the jail. The jail is removed. That jail, status jail. What if we do status SSHD? Okay, total failed. Watching the var log auth file. Currently failed, currently banned, and the list of banned IPs. Okay, so that's the jail. Now there should also be a filter for SSHD, and this is the filter. So these are a bunch of rules that are used to scan the authentication file. And then they're built into the fail regex object, and whatever matches that object essentially gets the counter going, I'm guessing. So that's the filter. We're going to need a filter for WordPress authentication, and we're also going to need a filter for, I wonder if we can use the same if we can use the same filter. We'll see. And then action is I think the default action is like IP tables, like multi-port or all ports. Take the conf file. Right, so these are basically the commands that fail to ban runs when it hits a limit with a certain IP address. So this is IP tables, and there's IP tables multiport. Okay, so this only blocks certain ports, which is useful because we don't want, like, if a sale user has logged themselves out of WP admin, we don't want to block their SSH access as well. So what I'm guessing here is that this is just going to be an array of filters. I'm not sure that these should even be configurable, like you know, ban time. Probably not. I mean, we can always extend this later. Right now we just need a list of valid filters that are going to be active, and we'll just use same defaults for all of these things. And like, if you want something else, you can always just SSH in and change the sensitivity or whatever you want to call it. So filters, yeah. So this is going to be the blueprint. What we will need for WordPress auth and XML RPC is for WordPress to write these out in a log file, and probably like maybe syslog in PHP. Is there a syslog in PHP? Okay, there is a syslog in PHP, and we're gonna do like a warning. Maybe we're gonna do a warning. So let's SSH as a regular user. Let's go WP content mu plugins, and we'll do auth. We'll do, yeah, let's call it auth.php, and WP login failure. Is there an action or a filter? Login failed. WP login WP login fail. Let's search for login ode. No, I don't want this. Let's do this. Okay, fires after a user login has failed. There it is. It isn't pluggable. It isn't pluggable. It's called WP login failed, and it has a username. I'm not sure we want to log the username, although I mean, as a version 2, I think that would be very useful, because if somebody tried to brute force um, the WP admin, they're usually like, most of the requests come in as the admin user. So username is admin or username is root. There's like a list of 10 to 20 most popular usernames used for WordPress. And so we can potentially use that list to fine tune the sensitivity. So for example, if somebody is logging in with their email address, then we give them 3 attempts. If they fail to log in 3 times, then we lock them out for for an hour or for 10 minutes or whatever it is. But if they're trying to do it with the admin user, then maybe we just give them only 1 attempt. I think that would be reasonable. But as I said, we'll start with something easier and do it that as a version 2. Did my mouse just die? Okay. So WP login failed. Pluggable deprecated. Yeah, so we're gonna do add action. Name error. Add action. WP login failed. I'm gonna have a username and user name and error. I wonder what the error is. An error. Error equals user is WP error. So error is a WP error object with the authentication failure details. Details being oh, empty username and empty password. Interesting. Ignore codes. Oh, so ignore codes doesn't get to this at all. So the WP login failed will not be triggered if the username is empty or if the password is empty. To do what should the error message be, or would these even happen? Only needed if all authentication handlers fail to return anything. Okay. Sure. Let's try it out. So it's a username and the error. A username and error. Then do. Let's try and do a syslog. And we do want a warning. And say WP auth the WP login fail. WP login fail, and we probably also want the IP address. So server remote, just like this. WP login failed. And WP option get home. I don't remember the address for this site. Okay, it's this. Let's go to WP login. 1. And let us tail logs. There we go. Okay. LP login failed, and then the IP address. We can also potentially like list the username here. Username, but I think that would be like a huge security risk, because what I have done myself in the past is, you know, enter my email address here, and then like the tab key wouldn't work, or I would forget to press the tab key, and just on autopilot without looking at my screen or the keyboard or whatever, I would just like paste my super secret password here and then hit enter automatically. I'm guessing that that these ignore codes filter would kind of prevent the username from being logged in here. Huh, yeah, that's actually interesting. I didn't think about that aspect because I never really saw those filters there. But what we can do is username. What we can do, because this won't get logged. This doesn't get logged. Because it's not, I'm guessing. Oh no, it is getting submitted. Never mind. But it's not being. I'll just tail these logs. It's not being submitted. I mean, it is being submitted to WP login PHP, but this filter, this action, WP login failed, it's not running. It's not running because the password is empty. So if I add something as a password, then yes, I do have WP login failed, IP address, and then the username here. But again, I'm not sure I want this username to be in a log file. Like really, there is no. It would probably be useful if you're doing something related to security, like setting up honeypots or did I just hear? I thought I disabled. Pause notifications until. Bye. So yeah, for like if you're working on something related to security, then this might be useful. Like deploying it to production and see which credentials are the the bots, the brute force software is actually using, so that you can fine tune your own settings. This could be useful, but I think in a production environment, I wouldn't want to expose this kind of data in the logs. Arguably, I wouldn't also not want probably expose the IP address as well, but that's a whole different story. So let's remove the username from here. We don't need the username here. We just need the login failed label. This is what we're gonna search for, and the IP address. So now that we have that, I want to test it with application passwords. I want to make sure it runs. I'm like 99% sure that it runs, but hey, you can never be too sure. So WP user update, and I'll set the user pass to 12345, and I will log in as 12345. I'm gonna go to users profile, and I think there should be a button here to add WordPress app on my phone. Really? It wants a name? Okay. So this is my application password. Oh, it WordPress application passwords. Do I need that login there? Through the REST API, users me. So if I do curl HTTPS and I'll do this thing and that would be JSON. WP v2 users me. You're not currently logged in. And so if I add a header, but actually use basic auth, so I can do user. Would it be okay? So it is my user. It's not this whatever name I specified here. I guess this is just a label so that I don't forget that, hey, this is like the iPhone that I authorized or whatever. Okay, so now that that is there, what if I try to authenticate with, why is okay, the provided password is an invalid application password, and not here. It is not here. So application passwords can be well, I guess there's a 401. We can try and make a play on this 401, or we can do an explicit, like, where does this come from? It comes from WP includes user. Incorrect password, application password fail authentication. So it has to be another action. WP authenticate, application password failed authentication, but there's another one here. WP authenticate, application password errors. Oh, but it doesn't return. That's fine. That's fine. So this allows you to add it allows you to add additional errors, I'm guessing, to the application password check. But then this is the final sort of action that we end up firing if the application, oh wait, no, this is application password did authenticate. This is what we need. Failed authentication. So if it's successful, then it returns the user. Otherwise, it's going to do this. So we need another another action function. I think it was error. Then 1 and syslog log warning LP login failed. So we can do this. So now if I do this, I'll get the login failed. So this covers WP login and application passwords. And now let's go to XML RPC. Is there an XML RPC client for XML XML RPC client? I wonder if I can do it online. Test client. Okay. I mean, whatever. So the endpoint is going to be XML RPC.php. The method WordPress XML RPC methods is going to be let's do get options. What is get profile? WP get options. WP get options. The username, so, and the gmail.com, and the password was 123412345. Parse error, not well formed. Okay. I really just need an example. Like, I don't really want to dive into the entire thing of how it works. Parameters. Oh, so this is for basic authentication. So what I need here is probably username and password. Not well formed. Maybe it wants like an XML document. Sure. And this XML RPC guide starts with how to disable it. Nice. Just show me a there it is. There it is. So method call. The method name is going to be, I can do this, I don't care really. Will say is malformed. What if it is get comments? I think this tool is broken. Oh. PHP's XML extension is not available. Interesting. Sale SSH root. So apt install PHP 7.4 XML, I guess. PHP XML. Update. Yo, what are you doing? I'm writing a recipe for fail to ban. So I want this to be a valid blueprint section. So users can apply a blueprint with fail to ban and list the jails that they want to activate in fail to ban. So that's my goal. Method name. It wants a method name. I think this is the wrong XML RPC client. Yes. Yeah, it turns out the application passwords actually doesn't run the default login failure action, which is a bummer. XML RPC XML RPC online. Oh no. Really, I have to do this? Okay. Okay. Methods. Wait. Use valid JSON. What? I don't want to lose this. I'm gonna put this here for now. And then I will just curl the body. I don't know what the body should be, honestly. Yes. Methods. You can get methods. Is it getting methods? Actually, it's super start PHP fpm. Yeah, probably just curl minus d. And XML RPC dot PHP, and it's probably gonna be an X post. Do review here as well. Okay, what is this? 404 not found. TCP, of course. Incorrect username or password. Okay. Did I just close? Sale logs. Yes. Twice though. Why twice? Huh. Maybe it's printing one for application password. Um, Really? No. Jeez, why? So the XML RPC is treated as the password failure on XML RPC is treated as an application password failure, even though I'm not even like using an application password. What am I using? String valid param. Let's see, XML RPC. Okay, we need to get rid of this thing. It froze. Nice. Extensions. Remove. Report abuse. It is. It does not work. Okay, example response. One. Oh, so it's just the order of. So blog ID 1, my username is gonna go here, and then my password is gonna be this one. But then the funny thing is that yeah, I didn't use an application password. I used my regular password. Let's see what happens if I use an application password though. And it also works. So I'm guessing this is why the so we kind of have to combine. We have to combine them. I have a pretty good idea. I can just do an add action on the OP shutdown. And what am I doing? Oh, so in here, I have to wrap this into a class or something, or a namespace. Because I want to do the logging here. This log. Okay, that would be login failed, and server remote address, but only if did login fail. Do a namespace sailed. Oh, I don't want a namespace. I'll just do a class. Sail auth-logger, and I'll just do a I don't really care about the username and error here. So what I can do is I can add action wp login failed to sail. Actually, let's do this. Public static load. Public static function load. I'll do add action wp login failed. Class and trigger. And I'll also add the second action here as well, which is application pass password failed authentication class trigger. I'm going to add both actions, and I'm going to have a public static function trigger, and I'm going to var public or private, public probably, public failed. Should also be a static, I guess, static failed equals false. And then self failed is true. And then add action .p shutdown class shutdown. This is way better than namespaces. And public static function shutdown. And if not, self failed, then return. Otherwise, I'm doing Python too much. Otherwise, we are going to syslog log warning. Copy login failed. Server remote address. And then here, fail auth logger load. So something like this, I'm guessing. Errors parsing auth. What are the errors? In line 6. 6. Okay. Yeah, now it's not logging at all. Oh wait, that's my application password. 1 2 3 4 5, and then this should, nope, incorrect username and password. That didn't work. Class trigger. Don't application passwords work via REST too? Yes, they do. But that's the thing. XML RPC triggers both WP login failed as well as application password failed authentication. So let me see if the other thing worked. Like this also didn't work. So none of this is working. Wonder what. I don't think it's WP shutdown. Is it WP shutdown? Or just shutdown? It is just shutdown. It is just shutdown. So this is probably where I went wrong. And let's try it again. Let's limit this to PHP. There we go. Login failed. Nice. This is fine. This is fine. And the application password is also fine. Login failed. And here I get another login failed. And the What was the other one that I tried? Curl. Nope. Was like something over here. WP JSON, WP, or was it V2 WP? Users me. WP V2. Not WP. Users me. WP JSON V2. Okay. Okay. And so now if why does it have to be like this? If I user I'm pretty sure I can't do this. Yep. And it gives me a login failure. Nice. And then if I do this, it'll work. Okay. It's not going to give me a warning. Nice. Yeah, so those are the two filters. Now we have the auth thing ready, and this is the journal. Does it go to syslog though? Sale root varlog syslog. Does it go to syslog? Heck. Yes, that's good. Okay. So it goes to syslog. Fail to ban. Let's do a filter. Wasn't there some fail to ban WordPress filter? Fail. So let's call it WordPress auth. Definition, and we'll do fail. Go. Fail regex, and the regex is going to be a stale logs. It is going to be OP login failed. So this is going to be the filter, and this is going to be the host. I think this should work. And then we'll go to jail conf, and and we will add WordPress auth, and we'll say port. What are ports? Are these the ports that are going to be blocked? I'm guessing they are. So HTTP and HTTPS is var log syslog. Going to watch the syslog. We are going to filter on WordPress auth, and max retry is going to be 3. Where's find time? With find time, a host is banned if the generated max retry during the last find time seconds. Ban time, find time, and max retry. Number of failures before a host gets banned. So 3 failures in I don't know, 5 minutes, and then ban time would be let's try 30 seconds for now. So fail to ban client status, reload. How do I have to enable? Oh, enabled equals true. That's how you enable it. Enabled is true. And reload. Number of jails 2, and we have our jails here. Fail var log fail ban. Okay, let's give it a go. Where were we? 1, found 1, 2, found another one, found 3, and I'm banned, right? Wait, no. Okay. I think I didn't add the action. Do I have to supply the action? Action. Good ban. Says it's already banned. IP tables. It is here. Is here. It is here. Let me actually try let me try is it action? It's ban action. Action is, how do you ban fail to ban UFW? How do you, oh, it's ban action UFW. Ban action UFW. You can try that. Yeah, that didn't do anything. WordPress auth ban found. I mean, it tried to ban it. Status. WordPress auth. Total banned IP list. Currently banned 1. Hey, hello, Jacket. We are working on sale.io. I think the problem is I don't know. I mean, I can try and APE tables. I can try and make sense of this, and it kind of doesn't. Or forward UW. Port HTTP and HTTPS. But those are being forwarded to the those are being forwarded to the Docker container. I think that's why it's probably, yeah, yep, yes, here they are. Here they are. So how do I make sure that my chain goes above that? How do I make sure the chain goes above that? Fail to ban action. SSH jail. Let's see. NFT tables. What's NF tables? Probably something related to ARC. I don't know. Ban action IP tables. If using IP table frontends like UFW, one can use instead of using IP tables. Yes, I am using it. The ban action should be UFW. UFW status. Okay, let's do 120. Just have to then unban action as well. Unban. Or is it smart enough to figure out that an action UFW? What if I don't? What if I don't give it the ports? What if I do this? Reload, and then I'm gonna tail it. Tail, and it's still there. Ban action. Okay, and UFW list, UFW status. Okay, UFW reset. Yes. UFW status inactive. UFW enable. W. Okay, it's active. So what does that mean? Your limit. Graph 90. Yeah, so the Docker stuff is still here. What does this? Well, this does mention the ports as HTTP and HTTPS. But then again, like we're forwarding those ports. What if I do fail or UFW Docker HTTP? So I'm looking for this maybe. UFW's default forward rule changes back to the default drop instead of accept. Remove the rules related to Docker network. Only one UFW configuration file. All Docker configurations and options remain the default. Doesn't need to disable the Docker IP tables function. Modify the UFW configuration file. Public networks to access the services provided by the Docker container. Service port 80, run the following command. Route allow, UFW route. UFW route list. Invalid syntax. UFW route. Okay. UFW. Okay, you know what? Let me just reboot this real quick to make sure that we're working on a fresh. On a fresh firewall config. Route proto TCP. Okay. Yeah. I hope I didn't break it. Did I break it? I mean, I could have. it's here, and this is here. So I should be able to SSH. Why am I not able to SSH? And the site is working. Probably locked out or something. I think there's like a default W. I think there's like a default limit on SSH, like 5 connections per minute or per 5 minutes or something like that. So we'll just probably have to wait a bit. But yeah, this is this is interesting, I think. So the following rules allow private networks able to visit each other. Typically, private networks are more trusted than public networks. Okay. This. UFW will not block all external requests to visit 8080. Even the command will not prevent external access to this port. Okay. Okay. Really? Wow, am I exposing 8080? More convenient to just allow public networks to access container ports without additional software and extra configs, just like using to allow external access. Delete allow to deny public networks. Yeah, I think I'm locked out. This isn't good. And this isn't good because I did not save the plugin file that I wrote. Probably go and try and recover it from here. Where is it? They close it? Ocean verification code. There we go. Recovery. console. I mean, technically, if I screwed up the firewall, then the DigitalOcean terminal will also not be able to connect. But let's see. Let's see if I borked it. I borked it. I can always recover from like an ISO and get the files out if I need those files. So I'm not too worried about that. Yep, broken. It is fine. Yeah, I didn't realize that Docker didn't really play that nice with UFW. I think I'm gonna have to look into this, make sure that we're not doing anything silly with Sail. I'll also need to recover the file, or I can just rewrite it from scratch. It's still fresh in my head, so it's not that big of a deal. But what we do want is probably we'll have to forward HTTP and HTTPS traffic to the container. So maybe we don't even need to run, because here when we provision the server, we do a Docker run, and we're mapping the host port 80 to the container port 80, and we're doing the same for HTTPS. So this is probably why the firewall didn't work, because those ports are just mapped directly, and they're directly going inside the container instead of going through through the full chain in IP tables. So I'm not sure that we have to keep doing this. Maybe we're not going to like publish them at all, and instead with oh, I can screenshot the files from the recording. All right, we can do that. Maybe add a manual like forward UFW. Although I kind of like the simplicity that Docker, you don't have to deal with like what is the IP address of this container and things like that. So I'll just read through whatever is here and do some more research on UFW and IP tables and Docker to make sure that we can actually ban IP addresses before they even reach the Docker container. So I will do that, but otherwise I think I'm set on like the syntax. This will probably be, I was thinking there could be like a general kind of like security section. But basically what fail to ban will do, and we can extend this later in future iterations of the blueprints API in Sail. But what this will do, it will install fail to ban. It will install these two custom jails with their respective filters, and it will enable the ones that are specified here. And it will also install an MU plugin to make sure that we're syslogging, as I've shown, the failures, the login failures for WP login and for REST application passwords and for XML RPC. So we'll do that. But for now, yeah, I don't really have anything else I wanted to cover today. Hope you enjoyed this blueprint stuff. Again, if you have any suggestions on how we could make it better or more useful for your particular workflow, for your use cases or for your customers, whatever you're working with, just let me know on GitHub or on Slack or on Twitter, wherever you prefer. Just let me know, and we can chat a bit, we can discuss it, and we can see some maybe different or additional things that we can do in blueprints to facilitate that, to support that. As I mentioned earlier, the stuff that works in blueprints right now is plugins, WordPress work hosted plugins, custom plugins. Same with themes, WordPress org custom themes, and then options, which also support serialized option inputs. This will have to be dealt with because this doesn't seem to be working. But I'll make sure that this works in I don't even think it needs a release because this is API side. I'll just fix this on the API server. And constants for WP config, these work as well. And variables. Variables are also working. The one thing that we need to add here is the type to make sure that variables can be explicitly set to like a Boolean flag. So they're easier to use with things like WP debug and WP debug display and stuff like that. And then here's the stuff that is currently being worked on. So fail to ban is the stuff that we've done some mostly like research work today, but this will probably be available very, very, very soon. So this will come in a form of a server software plus configs, as well as an additional WordPress MU plugin to generate those syslogs. And then Redis will be similar. So server software plus config plus the persistent object caching plugin. And postfix, still working on some stuff with Mailgun, but expecting this to be ready probably like either towards the end of this week or like early-ish next week. So yeah, that's blueprints. That's the focus right now. Again, if you have any questions about blueprints or even just Sail in general, or any suggestions on how to make Sail better for your workflows, just let me know. Again, we are on sail.io. The documentation is on GitHub. Everything is on GitHub. All the links, support channels. Feel free to open up issues or submit pull requests if you like. And yeah, thanks for joining the stream today. Thanks for watching. I'll drop some links in chat. Oh, Soulseek already did drop them in chat. But yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. Give us some stars on GitHub. We really appreciate those. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. I'm gonna leave you with this screen probably. Gonna say thanks for watching, and I'm also probably gonna play you some music. Let's see. Let's go for moods. I haven't played moods in Epidemic Sound. Let's go with happy, probably, or laid back. I don't know. Let's go with happy. Let's go with happy. Alrighty. Have a good day, y'all.
Sky's beautiful and so are you. I wanna make it up to you, start something new. Yeah, I've been thinking of the parts I played for you. Now I'm drinking from the bottle as I do. It's like a long dream. You're on the wrong team. Long as I lie and it's all fun coming out of me every time I see. Long as I lie and it's all fun coming out of me every time I see. Long as I lie and it's all fun coming out of me every time I see. Wants to be strong, and why is I want fighting hard to be the better part of me, 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 better part of me. Another day, another rhyme, trying to sugarcoat and reconcile, so I can do what is and make us both forget, only to start it up and play it out again. Long as I lie and it's all fun coming out of me every time I see. Long as I lie and it's all fun coming out of me every time I see. Long as I lie and it's all fun coming out of me every time I see. Was it destroyed? And why does I want fighting hard to be the better part of me? Long as I lie and it's all fun coming out of me every time I see. Was it destroyed? And why does I want fighting hard to be the better part of me? The better part of me. 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 The better part of me.